Good evening, Merrimack. Welcome to the Merrimack Village District Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is September 16th, and I'll call the meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. Public participation is offered by webinar. You can go to mvdwater.org and download the meeting agenda, and it's got a web link that you can participate virtually, or you can call in a number and participate by phone. And at this time, I'll ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we got four commissioners here in the room at Merrimack Village District, and we got one participating remotely. Ken, can you say where you are calling in from?
Yes, I'm calling from my home, 19 Jakes Lane, Merrimack.
Great, thanks. So we got all five members in the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is the Finance and Human Resources Review. And I know Kristen Marr is not here with us today. She's excused. So we still want to probably go through any questions anybody has on anything. If you can try to answer, if not, we'll have to.
I have a quick one.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
So page 2, expense budget versus actual account. What glasses? Take on it.
Going to read it for you?
It's the second one from the bottom, 60300 purchase of water, 55%. Is that? I don't recall that from last month, but that's not the purchase and sale agreement, is it?
The wholesale?
I believe it is. If it's.
And we had to, okay, well, okay, and obviously it's ahead of budget because it's the summer months, okay. That makes sense because it's staggered over 12 months, okay.
So the 50,000 that's listed as budgeted is, that's annual though.
Right, but we usually don't need it unless it's summertime.
Usually only
springtime,
open in the summer.
because
Right.
usually we don't fight irrigation any other time. And since the budget just started, right, the fiscal year just started, it makes sense that we're a little
Yeah,
bit on the forefront of that consumption.
Isn't the whole wholesale agreement annually like 341,000 or something like that?
It is, but we didn't,
So where is this? But is that coming from
so it's
capital
not,
reserves?
that's coming from capital reserves, so the budget. Technically, we'll overspend that budget line.
So we go, the first 50 goes against the budget, and then,
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
And I think like last year, Kristen will move it up if we have the room in the budget
yeah, I think I
from
remember
capital reserves, because I think that's what we did last year,
moving that around. Yeah,
which was earlier this year.
But I guess on the same note, we did need or want to purchase water
yeah.
through the
Because remember the
interconnection.
How long was the thing on? July or August or something?
Working on that one. Two
Maybe
months?
even earlier, maybe in June, yeah.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that part, but
Yeah.
are we still struggling with that or right now not an
Oh,
issue?
no, it's been off, most of the summer. It's been off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
only
we
that
used
beginning
to-
part when it was dry. that-
During the heat wave, right? Wasn't that a big heat wave?
I mean, we had 2 wells down as well.
Yeah,
We
we
had
did, yeah.
7 and 8.
Oh,
down.
yeah.
We needed some makeup from that, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that page or anything? You know, the electricity is up pretty high at 24%. And I'm assuming that's because we're pumping more water than anticipated with the dry weather and whatnot.
Is this available with a comparison to last year's?
It is further in the packet, I think. Yeah,
That would be where I would.
right. Yeah, so the first several pages are just comparison to the current budget. Um, The other question I had was on, let's see what page is this? Page 6 of 17 up at the top right corner there, page numbers. Yeah, the page numbers on the bottom and on the top.
A lot of purchase here.
Messed up his packet again.
On page 6 up in the upper right corner, item, what is it? 40407.5 miscellaneous water treatment plant income for wells 4 and 5, $106,900. I assume that is the last escrow payment for Single Bain, is that it?
One more according to our records. So you want that
Oh.
for the Single Bain right now.
Oh, really?
We have that for once, but, yeah.
Okay,
Eight, 5 payments to Morgan. And we're showing you 4.
yeah, we might have been delayed because if the wells didn't come on, I know they were delayed a little bit, wells 4 and 5 activation, right? The treatment plant, so maybe, I know it was supposed to, it might have been targeted to end and I thought it was 2025. So I guess that's the budget we're in, right? But, well, that's good. At least that's what I was asking because I wasn't sure if that was the last payment on. So hopefully, there's one more coming next fiscal year.
Yep.
I actually would have one more, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Page 5 of 17. 81950.2 professional fees, legal PFAS. There's no budget in there. Did we do like a broad comb count budgeting for legal? But I don't, well, I'm not sure because we have the other ones broken out, right? General and accounting in terms of budgets.
She must have added that new or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
maybe,
why there's no,
but you would think that's one of the larger ones, right? So that would be curious, I'd be curious why there's no budget for that line item.
yeah.
I would think that would be smallest because it's only Carrie, not the other stuff. So maybe she did it, they just use, and maybe it wasn't broken out last year, so.
Yeah, but we have more meetings with legal about, even with Kerry than
Yeah.
some other things with that subject. Either way, it's just, it strikes me as odd that we don't have a budget for that.
Right.
That would be maybe something to clarify.
All right, any other income versus budget versus actual questions? Not, the next thing in the packet is the capital reserve balance. I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of that.
Do we have a timeline for the year-end audit adjustments? Because the report came in last month, right? You were there, right?
We sat down last month. They've had it for a little bit, but she hasn't got, she's just starting this one and giving them information. It's kind of like a year. Yeah, they finished up the other stuff,
Okay.
but I don't think she probably has their magical numbers yet. No.
So this is on page 8 of 17. Is the capital reserve balance.
I'm sorry, I wasn't fund balance, 7 or 17.
On page 8, the capital reserve balance in the last column under water purchase and treatment plant O&M. Looks like we've got additional GAC replacement for wells 2 and 9, and then 7 and 8. Is that sounds like it's only the cost for one planned media change out, is that right? The 104,777 for wells 2 and 9. And then the 63,000 for 7 and 8. No, 4 and 5 is not in there because of the escrow, right? But I was just wondering if we're gonna end up with more than one replacement this fiscal year? Or not?
I
Maybe
believe
not.
it is.
Yeah,
I believe it is, that's two. I can verify on that, those numbers.
yeah, I just want to make sure.
The new company is cheaper.
Good, that's good, because I thought that for well 7 and 8, I thought that number was closer to one change out that I remember seeing in the
It
past.
was originally.
Wow. Good. Yeah, if you want to double check that, I just want to make sure if we need to carry another change out in this fiscal year after this one, that we update that. So one way or the other, if you want to just make a note to confirm if those are just 1 year, 2 years. We'll probably revisit this in the budgeting, but that'll be for next year, you know. All right, there's no other questions on the capital reserve balance? See anything, then what do we get is bank balances? Anybody have questions on any of that? And none, we'll move on. And this, so on page 10 of 17 is where it starts, the profit and loss by month. I don't know if anybody has questions on that. That's page 10 of 17. It goes through pages there. It goes through page 13 of 17. And then on page 14 is the profit and loss previous year comparison, which I think you were asking about, Scott. So those are the comparisons from last year, starting on page 14 of 17. So I don't know if anybody has questions on anything there.
No, but I think it's an interesting observation here. When you look at page 14 of 17, last year's over this year's July water sales domestic is not quite, but almost double. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Last year.
Not- What's that?
It was wet last year.
Yeah, but you know, it's just interesting because, you know, sometimes we get feedback about businesses in town and commercial properties. And when you look at mercantile industrial, they didn't really go up nearly as much as domestic, which is yet again, probably an indication of how we're fighting irrigation every summer, right? So, because a lot of those commercial properties just don't have the same amount of irrigation that a lot of single home.
A lot of individual property, residential properties really add up significantly.
They do, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And it's level rates.
Mhm.
So it's directly to consumption, I believe, right?
I think so. Well,
No, it's not. The
No,
rates
no.
went up.
that's right. there's an
Rates went up in
increase.
October of
Yeah,
last year,
That's right.
so it wouldn't be level rates.
So we're only missing, we missed last summer then.
We missed
At a
last
higher
summer
rate.
with the higher
That's
rate, yeah.
probably the lot.
But it was very wet last summer anyway, so I think both apply.
That's true. So it's a little of both then.
No.
A lot of both.
What's miscellaneous income?
What line item is that?
40407. Same page 14.
It is very small.
It's like I'm looking at the percent change and I see
Yeah.
12%. I'm just like, all right, it is a small number about what's going on here.
So last year we spent on that line item $1.58, right?
We made actually.
Yeah, I think that's probably a Kristen question.
Okay. It's like finding change in the couch or something.
Yeah.
There's some,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
You went through Ron's pockets.
I see we're selling merchandise too, which is it's the other big percent change one that was, that's a small number.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious as to what we're selling and who's buying.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm still waiting for an MVD shirt or hat after, what,
Dude,
9 years?
I got a spam mail and the spam mail was, you have a credit to order like a shirt or something. And I clicked on the thing and I was like, they're toying with me.
Ah,
But it was one of those that was put out by our
Just-
web host. And I was like, oh, they were just toying with me. I got all excited.
No, seriously, I didn't even. Does the board want, if everybody want shirts or?
Some other time.
No, but seriously.
But yeah,
Do you have a commissioner tag?
I did, I got it.
All right, you got that? All right, that's
Last week when or 2 weeks ago when I came in here,
that's
the
something.
virtual meeting.
The goal is to not lose it by the annual meeting.
Yeah, shirts, white shirts,
Yeah,
Well, we're not allowed to wear our shirts out to dinner after work.
really?
Yeah.
That's who,
oh, yeah.
It's
Oh, that
the
means-
rules.
interesting.
You're right, you need to change that up here.
If you're drinking alcohol, consuming alcohol,
Oh,
you can't wear it.
And that makes sense, yeah, okay.
With dinner, I think.
and who goes out without doing
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Same difference, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea, what time frame Kristen might be out? I'm just wondering if there's,
She's out all this week and then she'll be in and out next week. She has physical therapy on Tuesdays. and
but she's
Thursdays.
thinking that next month she is thinking of being available again for these commissioner meetings? All right, okay. I was just wondering,
Drive.
yeah, I didn't know if it was gonna be like a 2 or 3 month thing. I was gonna say maybe we should have someone fill in, but
We have a lot of trucks.
She's gonna actually,
Guys can go pick.
like, she's doing next week, so the day she's doing physical therapy, she should be home. Often if she's feeling good, she'll be in.
all right, good. I just wanted to know, like, if it's a long-term
As
thing.
much as we can before she gets back.
We'll see all the receipts next month.
Yeah, we're trying to lower it up, yeah.
All right, any other questions on profit and loss for the previous year comparison?
Nice to see the overtime go down. That's always a discussion with people, so it's nice to see that. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
Seriously. All the next breaks are all gonna be nights.
Where's the heating fuel used? So the heating fuel, propane,
Propane.
The
7
generators.
and 8.
it's up quite a bit
is it,
for,
Which one?
it's 115% over last year's.
Which one?
Just wondering, so that's line 60400. So that's for generators? How are
So no, there's we use propane for heat at the 7 and 8 treatment plant on all that.
in July?
Yeah, we should use it in July.
Well, it depends on when the tank got filled.
Right,
Yeah.
tank could have got filled.
They
That's
might-
true.
We are on automatic delivery. with that,
Okay.
So it is possible they came in.
So we have to look at kind of a whole year comparison then.
Yeah, July, no, we're not trying to keep warm.
it's probably nice and cool in there, though.
Well, that's the thing, it is nice and cool.
The
and
caustic rooms,
we do keep the caustic, those are,
those electric.
those are electric.
Those are electric.
Those are electric in the caustic rooms.
Need temperature to get a good mix or something.
No, you have to keep caustic at a higher temperature because it'll freeze at 58 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
And it'll start to crystallize and then
Oh.
it can freeze solid. I don't know the exact,
Yeah,
like 38 degrees or something, it can freeze
really.
solid. Yeah,
I never knew that.
so we keep the
That'd
rooms
be
like
nice.
65, 70 degrees.
Oh,
But no, that's propane, that's all electric for those rooms.
that's sodium hydroxide, not potassium hydroxide, right?
It's sodium hydroxide, yeah.
All right.
The only other thing I can think of is the warehouse is propane.
Yeah,
I
but
know,
it's
that's
so
not
hot
propane,
down there.
that's
Oh, that's natural gas.
It's not propane.
I'm gonna actually check the thermostats at 7 and 8, make sure they weren't left on, or I can't imagine, we'd be using a ton over there, but naturally those buildings are about 68 degrees because of the water.
Yeah,
in
the tanks.
If the thermostat's cranked up, it could run, but I would hope someone would notice the heat blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would always like that on a hot day.
No,
but
they
I-
were. I know 7 and 8 it was cooler later this year, so I think we were running the heat at 7. To May, I believe.
Probably. We're talking about heating fuel and it doesn't specifically say propane, right?
It does.
So it does, okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
that being said, I don't know if there's a natural gas line item somewhere too,
It should be.
must be.
But my comments for that, 7 and 8 would be all, there all should be electric igniters on the meters, but the warehouse is all pilot.
Yeah,
There's
right.
some usage
Yeah,
from
true,
that.
yeah. Minimal.
That's natural gas,
Minimal, yeah, but that's
natural gas.
natural gas, yeah.
All right, any further questions or we want to move on to the next item? We do have, well, the first item on the regular session is a plaque to be awarded to former Commissioner John Lyons, recognition of 4 years. He was intending on coming, I think he said at 5:30 if he can make it, so we'll get back to that and we'll move on to the next item, which is probably why we got
That's my item.
Brian here for an update and a presentation on the lead service line inventory project. Just reading what it says.
It'll be technically a presentation. Gonna have to minimize this. So what's that gonna do? I don't
Nothing.
have their cameras on, so.
Nothing.
it's a big
Won't be
deal,
able to
right? Okay.
That's fine.
Um, Bear with me one moment.
Sure.
before I get into this.
I guess maybe a good start is just an overview of like
Absolutely.
regulatorily what the requirement is, probably coming down from EPA through DES or something.
Yeah, so the EPA established the lead and copper rule back in 1991 to protect the health, public health, and to reduce the exposure to lead in drinking water. That rule has been revised. Water systems are required to create an inventory of their service lines throughout their distribution system. We've been working with 120 Water on ours. And Brian's gonna kind of walk you through what our inventory is gonna look like.
What are they, like a consultant that goes around doing this?
Yeah.
Are they local or are they,
No, they're not, and I think we got hooked up to them when Jill applied for the grant.
Right.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we did the grant, so it's actually paid for out of the grant.
That's the infrastructure grant, right?
Yes. Our lead service line,
yeah, it's probably
Oh, it is.
dedicated. Yeah,
Yes.
it's probably a dedicated.
I thought it was part of the whole.
the inventory is actually due October 16th, so it's. And when Brian brings it up, you'll see there's gonna be a countdown on it.
Yes,
So they kind of want us to just identify where service lines,
30 days.
piping can be.
So what they need to know is they need to know, they're looking for lead service lines. So they need to know what is on the customer owned side of the curb stop and what is on the utility owned side of the curb stop. As you can imagine, that's a pretty huge task. We have 6,600 service connections. I believe that now includes our fire systems, which they're also requiring, fire sprinkler systems be inventoried as well.
Really?
There are some ways to kind of knock some of these things out. So anything over 2 inch is being determined as non-lead. So that should knock off a bunch of
A lot
those.
of
We do
fire.
have a handful of 2 inch fire services in town. Another thing was we were able to go with anything after 1987. Any house built after 1987 is most likely not lead. So some of the things we've done with 120 Water to get this all set up, first thing we did, and keep in mind, the only thing we're required to have on October 16th is the inventory. We don't have to have everything verified, but we need as much stuff as we
Suspected.
do have verified, we want to get in there. So we started out with the customer billing file that helped them pretty much build the inventory. And also we use the public tax records that helped us with that year bill, anything after 1987. So it's not super impressive in here.
Ryan,
Because
any chance you can share that on Zoom for Ken and the,
yes, yeah, I just gotta share the screen. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
No problem.
Yeah,
Right
where is
here, and then. Sorry, I'm kind of Zoom illiterate.
showing where?
Where was the
The
screen? that just
share
had
a few
button?
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, just to,
You gotta use a little arrow, square arrow. I can make it
That
bigger
one.
again.
Okay, here we go. All right, let me share
You
the
can
screen
share the blue, the green button there, right?
right here, yep.
Yeah. And then whichever one is up, probably the one on the
All right, I'm
right.
gonna want the Mozilla. So that's where I signed in,
Mhm.
and then share.
Yeah.
All right. Can you guys,
John,
can you see my screen right now?
He's only gonna see the Mozilla.
you can move it, just drag it.
Yeah, I see, the screen says Zoom.
You see me fumbling around?
there you go.
Okay, all right, this is better.
There we go.
All right, so this is the 120 water, the website that we're using. So they put in our total service line 6,600, but you're gonna see that these numbers aren't massively impressive because even though we were able to go through and say, well, all these houses were built after 87, the materials are still unknown. So you're gonna see in some of these, I wish I had an example, but you can see the materials, you see in service, unknown material, system owned side, unknown material, custom owned side. Some of the ones that were weeded out with this, they'll say unknown material, unlikely lead. So that's how they're doing that. When it comes down to actually, showing what we verified, I think those are gonna be able to just be kind of not like we won't have to verify them. But then anything built before 1987 that we haven't already verified, we're going to have to verify. Which is gonna require pretty much excavation of
Really?
every curb stop, yes. So right now, I think that's like a 10-year, it's gonna be about 10 years they're gonna ask for that. In the meantime, with our meter exchange program, we had a big push of meter exchanges back in something like that, but I went and found all the paper. We were doing it on paper, and I went and found all the paper. There was a few hundred records there that we just sent off to 120 Water. We were actually writing down and taking note of what the customer-owned service line material was. Since then,
Is that when you go in the house and
to like change a
Plumbing is in the
meter,
meter,
or
right.
yeah, if you're there because they're having a plumbing.
so the lead line comes right up into the house, right to the meter, basically?
Yeah, the service line, but we
Yeah.
have not yet seen a lead line in our system.
We have one.
Well, we have one that was told us that it could be a lead line. So there was one at 9 Church Street. And
Well, we had two then.
yeah. Well, we did have one at a house where our meter technician was there to change a meter. And he was looking at the service line coming through, and it was a different type of plastic than we would typically use, almost like a well line. And the guy said, oh yeah, he goes, that's what they had to use to adapt to the lead pipe outside.
Oh, really?
There is possibly a lead pipe there, but that's an older part of town. Those houses were built in probably the 1800s, so it is possible. With this here, we do get a map. The map, it'll be like a heat map. We don't have anything lead yet or galvanized that we know of, so it's pretty much just unknown at this point.
So as you refine it, it's gonna
Yeah,
change.
so another thing I did was I took I was in distribution. I used to keep notes from every dig that we did. I would write down what material the piping was, what we did for repairs, what the measurements of the trench, all that kind of stuff. I went through all of that stuff and I looked to find, sometimes I would write what was on either side of the curb stop. So I was able to get a few of those done. That's why you'll see. So the way, when you really zoom in on these properties, you'll see each property has two boxes,
Oh, yeah.
customer and MVD on side. So this one's non-lead. Another thing we've been doing, I think we tried to use the GIS. We weren't storing lead service line inventory in the GIS. It's just a field that we had never put in there for whatever reason. With our Element software that we do all of our work orders with every day, me and Amy got together and we took every work order where you go to change a meter, you go to see a meter horn being changed out, a shut off, a turn on, anything that would require you to get in the house. We have on the form what type of materials coming in, what size is the material, and then we also added plumbing material, like what's going on after the meter. It's not something we need right now, but we're in there, why not? So we are able to get a lot of those, and we're able to get a lot of customer side stuff. And then the next push really is going to be that's just little bits at a time as we go out on work orders day to day. And then I'll actually pull a report every couple weeks or so of everything that has included a service line, someone to look at a service line. And I go through and I'll actually update this database.
You just need to have the list of those properties for.
So this is, yeah, so the whole list is here, the list. So when I add one, I'll put in let's do the one where we thought maybe that might be a lead. So I'll just go in and I'll edit. And then, there's even a year built there, 1899. They must have pulled that right from the tax records. I have an unknown under system of material because we have not seen it. But somebody was, and they put a kind of more field, like a notes field or removal date if we were to remove it. In here under customer owned material, I said unknown likely lead, and that's to kind of trigger us to look at it again when it comes time to start verifying stuff. And that's the one where it says plastic in the house. If I put a few instead of edit. Yeah, plastic in the house, customer told Ed that the line on the side is lead. So that's what we have to go by now. We have anything non-lead has been verified, that's system owned, has been verified to be non-lead. So if we do a repair, replace a service line, I'm able to put that right in as non-lead, but then we still don't know what the customer's side is. I still have questions, like if I see it in the basement, is that good enough for customer side, or are they gonna wanna know what it is outside?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, and it seems like it kind of changes
It
periodically.
does kind of change.
What's actually being required.
We're probably gonna still need to do we're gonna need to verify our side. And as part of that verification at the curb, we're probably gonna need both sides. So you're gonna get like customer side at the curb and customer side in the house. So maybe that might be enough without having to excavate the whole line.
I hope not, yeah.
So does that mean that anything built over after 1987, whatever that date is, we don't have to dig it up?
No.
We just are under the assumption no one was using lead pipe back then, we
Right.
moved on. Okay.
Yeah, but it is still a part of our inventory, so in the
Correct.
event that we do go to these houses for a meter change out.
Still
we're
mark
still-
whatever materials
Yeah,
there.
So I've even taken some that say unknown material, unlikely lead. And my guys have been in there, seen that there's plastic pipes, so I'm able to go in and say, now we've visually verified it, and we'll change
But I
the
think you
meter.
still need some sort of verification, because
Most likely.
I had asked, so like, I've been here since '98, so anything that I worked on when I first started, if it was a development, I know all the lines are plastic, more than likely, I've seen all the lines from the main to the property line and then into the home. I can sign
After David.
Verification.
Yeah,
After David.
affidavit, thank you, that's what I was looking for, and I couldn't. An affidavit saying that, verifying this is non-lead, and they'll accept that.
they say they will
They-
now, yeah,
They're saying they'll accept that as,
right.
they'll accept pictures, so,
Yeah,
Part of-
operator interview is one of the options.
so we've asked our techs when they're out along with the work orders to actually take pictures of the service line
Yeah,
as well for verification. We're gonna set up, work on something for our website with all the information about the lead service line. We're actually looked at Concord Water's website. They have a nice little thing on it in Manchester Water. How to tell what a lead service line looks like, how to identify it in the home. And we'll ask for residents to send in pictures as well. So that's another verification. So hopefully we won't have to get into a lot of these homes.
so that's something we need to iron out, because my hope, like I've told you, I'm manually kind of doing this right now. But my hope is when we start requesting customers to send things in,
Like you just,
that their info could get right in here. Possibly with some sort of verification from us to make sure someone doesn't write like, I hate the water department. But we would still have to, see what customers are putting into the system, but I think it would be great. That would be so much quicker than me going through all those fields.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Manchester, like you mentioned, that was they sent a mailer and you had to scan a QR code and it brought you right to Manchester's website. It just said, what's your name? What's your address? What's your service line material? What's the size? Please add a picture. And that was it. It took about 15 minutes.
And I believe that's the
Or
other,
no, less than that, like 5 minutes.
the other thing too, is I believe this needs to be
Publicly available.
publicly
Yes.
available as well.
So
this
there
should
is
be
a
okay.
compliance checklist here that I noticed. So identify the system operator that'll be submitting your inventory to your state primacy agency. We're actually gonna set up a meeting with 120 Water, just have them show us how to actually make that report that the state wants us to. That's easy enough and any of us can submit it. LSLI submission training, I feel like we've been getting training on this, but we'll see what, I'd like to see kind of in greater detail what these things mean. Oh yeah, one thing at the bottom here, it says make your inventory publicly available by activating 120 Water's public transparency dashboard. And they have that listed under compliancy checklist. So
they'll be able to see that
it's-
database and.
yeah, and it's possibly for the public too, so you can look and see where are their lead lines located in your town, that it could be something.
Yeah,
But we're also required to send out, tell them about
A
the letter
notification,
30
yeah.
days after
Ron mentioned
October
it.
16th. So that's what we're putting together. We're trying to incorporate what Manchester did it with the QR code, with some pertinent information on there. It's something motivating to get people to want to.
not just throw it
They
away.
have,
Yeah.
I think that was even mentioned too, that a lot of systems are probably, because not everyone's gonna have all their service lines verified. In Manchester's letter, it said they have 32,000 service connections that need to be verified. So I think a lot of people are gonna be doing the same thing. We're gonna have to send out a public notification that says, hey, we're required to know where lead service lines are. We don't know where all of them are, please help us kind of thing. It's gonna be something, it's gonna be kind of it's a notification, but we're also asking for your help to get us that. But that wording and everything will be all 120 Water has a whole template for that.
Yeah, we're waiting for a quote from them to actually do the entire map.
Yeah.
So it'll just be a lot for us to keep track of.
Yeah.
They've got the meetings and so we take care of all the tracking too.
So I guess if we can wean down the number of sites and verify them by other than digging, and then the last step is dig the ones that you don't have.
Yeah, of houses. I think a lot of houses in Merrimack were built in the 70s or a good
Yeah.
handful of them. they're gonna have to be verified. Now, there's less invasive forms of excavation, like hydro excavating, things like that. If there's hundreds or thousands of services, we might have to think about contracting it. They did say money was gonna be available.
There is money available.
Yeah, from the federal government.
And what's the whole timeline on all of this implementation and all that? Is that like?
It was 10 years.
I think after this, we have 10 years.
Okay.
To have everything verified.
There's no probing available, like,
Not really. There's a swabbing with the customers. You could send out a sample kit to the customers, which is another thing we were exploring. They could do a swab and then that will only verify their part of it though.
Is that on the outside of the piping, you mean?
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
swab.
They get a little kit, they go in, they swab the pipe, put it back in, then it's self-mail, it goes back out again to them and they'll track the results.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so.
Too bad you couldn't go down like inside the curb riser and see what's.
Swab those,
It's
just not
yeah.
big
There's
enough.
nothing to see. I've looked down in those, to see which way the stem.
Little
was
camera,
pointing.
nothing, yeah.
Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, all you need is like a couple millimeters of pipe on either side and it would be
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
rich.
Wow, I guess we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get.
Yeah.
But so one thing that worries me is all of the pavement and the landscape.
Right, so you said there's money available. Have you looked at like incentives provided to customers to send in their own stuff? I mean, obviously you could ask them to do it for nothing, but it'd be like, hey,
Yeah, we're talking about doing the swabbing stuff, but, you
Like
know, we would also have to
incentivized.
buy, we'd have to buy all the kits.
Yeah,
but you could do it with pictures, right? And then you can kind of rule stuff out.
yeah,
And if something doesn't look right, then you can actually go in, but just the cost of somebody sending you a picture versus sitting a tech out there,
yeah, definitely. yeah.
right? It's cheaper to,
That'd be great.
you know, if you can give them a water discount, I don't know if you can do that or not, but,
Yeah.
you know.
Send them a hat.
Yeah, some
some
merchandise, but,
yeah.
you know, take something off their bill, like, hey, if you send us in a picture of your thing, then we'll,
I mean, I got mine in Manchester and I mean, I know how important it is, so I did it right away. I
Yeah.
don't know how many people are that quick about it, you know?
then you're flooded with information real quick, but at least you
Well,
have
that's
it.
what I wondered too, you know, so like I said, to manually go in and update some of the stuff, but when we actually send out a mailer, are we gonna get hundreds of responses, 1,000 responses? I think it'll probably be kind of a lot at first, and then it'll probably start fizzling out, and then we're probably gonna have to send out another mailer and so on and so forth.
No, I'm not saying I want to do this, but you probably get more response if you say, we're gonna have to hit you with a $10 fee.
if you don't give it.
I don't know if that's.
I know.
But your mailers,
Some reaction then.
you can put your mailers right in the bill, right? Because you're already sending those out.
True.
You don't have to send them separately.
Does it have to be separate? Maybe not. No, okay.
But
I mean, I know-
probably, it will end up being separate if Winter Water's doing it.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Unless we
Yes,
have
you wanted to do it
those, and
separately.
Amy does have,
Yeah.
down the one, send it over to.
It probably would be
Yeah.
separate. I mean, if we were in non-compliance with something that we can't just stuff those in bills, can we? We'd have to send them out like a separate mailer. And then technically, if we haven't verified all of our lines, we're kind of
Technically, it's
non-compliance.
we're not in compliance because we're
Because
not,
we haven't verified everything, right?
but it's gonna be a softer,
Yeah, us
Letter,
and
it's
probably the rest of the country are not gonna be.
and it'll be yearly up until,
We start getting close to the.
So are there, sorry, I was gonna say, are there milestones that you're trying to hit every
Milestone
year?
number one is just get this inventory in, and then, yeah, it's time to figure out how we're gonna start verifying. The next would be getting a letter out.
Yeah, but like, you have a goal of how many you're gonna do over a period of time.
I think, well, we're gonna.
Not until we
we're
get the
working on-
letter out,
yeah,
see
we're
what we
working
get
on
back,
getting
and then we
some-
can take it, chunk it out into each year or something, how many we intend to.
Yeah, because we're working on getting a quote right now, which would be a quote probably to send all of the letters out, I would assume, or maybe they'll quote us per letter.
No, they have the database, so they
Yeah,
can just pull out
exactly.
the
They know
information.
how many we need, so I guess we gotta kind of start there, see, you know, how much is this gonna cost us just to send out this mailer?
kind of
Pretty
how many
involved.
we can get approved right off the bat.
That too,
And then
yeah,
read those out of it, and, you know.
Yeah.
5,000, you know, how many we have to do a year to,
yeah.
to meet that goal.
So I guess we need the number of how many we're actually have to send out, and then, yes, then we can start kind of breaking it
Okay.
down and having goals.
Hopefully you can chunk off a lot of them with the years and then
That's what I'm hoping.
pictures and
Yeah.
the list will get smaller and smaller.
I would reach out to Merrimack TV and see if they're interested in doing a Merrimack in motion kind of thing. or-
Yeah, when the time
Yeah.
comes on that, yeah.
Because that might be,
Yeah.
I know they're, I mean, they're always looking for opportunities, right, to
Yeah, right.
to get stuff out, and this would be a great example.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm okay.
The other one quick is, if 120 water,
Yep,
Yeah,
if they're doing the mailer, we gotta make sure that it's clear that it's on behalf of MVD.
absolutely, yeah.
Right, because if I was getting the mailer of some company I've never heard of in the mail, I would more than like to not even look at it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I would rip it apart and throw it away.
I mean, it could be a thing too, where possibly they send us the, the materials or. I don't know, we'll have to see what they're offering. We have to see what this mailer looks like. I know the one that was received in Manchester, it gave a whole. This is what your service line looks like, this is what different materials look like,
Mhm.
tells you how to do a scratch test, there was photos on it,
You
things
need a
like that.
magnet or in a coin.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Very specific.
Mhm.
Well done.
Yeah, so.
Kind of cool
The
though.
concern is that people think that it's
It's like.
an elaborated sales pitch, right, and not
Exactly.
MVD reaching out to
Right.
get mandatory data collected, right, so.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
we put our logo on everything. so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just not on my head.
yeah, I know what you mean, though, not like 120
Right,
water, yeah,
right,
I think it's like someone's trying to sell you a filtration.
Correct,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
be good to get the word out too, that the more cooperation we have,
Yep,
the less it's gonna cost us to, identify the ones that people don't respond to.
Here's
Right.
incentive. You don't have, like you said, you don't have to raise your bill.
Keep rates from
I
going.
know, right?
Yeah.
So is there legal implications if you do a dig and you find a lead pipe? Like, are you expected to change it right away or?
That's part of the process too. They're gonna give us a certain amount of time from when we locate it.
But what if it's customer owned side?
We don't have any of that information. yet. They haven't-
Exactly, because they
They're
don't
still
know.
working out. We're
Yeah,
getting updates and changes all the time on
yeah,
what
because
they're expecting and when.
they'll be quick to tell us we need to change our stuff out, but when it
Right.
comes to every single homeowner having to change their line out.
Well, that, I mean,
There's no.
let's say you've got I mean, they've got kids, right? And it's on the MVD side. You're supplying us with water through a lead pipe.
Yeah, absolutely. If we were digging it up, we'd do it quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just-
Yeah,
That's the
I believe
plan.
it's, if it's on their side, and again, it could change. There's we're gonna let them know that there is a lead pipe obviously on their
Yeah.
side and so many notifications. I think it is up to them. It's not something that we have to replace if it's on their side. Unless we we go for the funding, then it was recommended that we replace the whole thing. So it was 100% forgiveness, or
71%?
maybe it was 70%
Yeah,
forgiveness.
71%, I think it was.
Forgiveness. So then it was recommended to do the whole thing. Funding for replacement.
Well, it's pretty involved. I had no idea it was that elaborate. Yeah.
And we're a year ahead of any other communities because we jumped on it right away.
I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Are you good, Ken, with what you saw here?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yep,
I think it's pretty cool. We have a tool like
yeah.
water, because I
Yeah,
mean,
was-
imagine doing it in like a spreadsheet, like you would just, would
Well,
be
that's probably how we would
horrendous.
start,
Right,
We
right.
we would probably, actually, it's funny, after we hired the 120 water
It wasn't
elements.
easy to find
No.
somebody that did this. There was one other company and they never even really provided a bunch of.
A couple months ago, though, I sent out a notification,
Oh, yeah.
managing your lead service line
We've been doing
inventory.
this
It's
almost
like,
2
where
years
were
now.
you guys? Yeah.
You said you guys are a little late.
Working on it for a
We
while,
actually
yeah.
started a year before the funding came out for the grant. And because we started a year before, that first year was not available to put towards the grant.
So on that status form from the DES that's in our packet, at the bottom, it says it's like 55 total NL. What does that mean? No lead?
55.
What does NL mean? Non-lead?
Yeah, that's probably non-lead. That was close to what I
Okay.
was looking at on the
I think that was
120.
I was just
I'm
questioning.
at
what that-
60 now because I was able to update it since then.
Right. All right, well, good. Keep us updated every once in a while on this.
1% there.
Any other
Yeah.
questions on, yeah? Any other questions on this? Pretty elaborate. I'm glad you let us know because I had no idea it was.
Yeah.
We did sign up, I believe we signed up, there's a webinar October 3rd. it's gonna go over all the notifications stuff that we have to do as well, so.
Yeah, we'll definitely know a lot more of that.
Is this built into our budget yet at this point? Or I know we're operating in a grant, but I'm just wondering if
It is not.
at some point,
Yeah, we probably
We have a
should.
contract, I'm assuming Kristen would put it in.
should probably put it in a budget, has an offsetting.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
because we've got the 80 grand or 100 grand, we got,
Yeah, we're gonna have to hang on.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good point.
yeah, we have to.
I was thinking,
So I know budget season's coming up in the next few months and we'll probably need to plan. So the more you can give us direction on that, the better we'll be able to target it. All right, great. Thanks, Brian. Sounds like you've been busy and
Yeah, oh, yeah.
it's good that you're using your old records that you had collected over the years
Yeah,
too.
we got quite a few. I think I got a little over 100 just
Yeah.
from old records, yeah.
So it's better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I try to keep on guys about the importance of good record keeping. and
Yeah.
It's right there.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're moving to presentation of a plaque to former Commissioner John Lyons in recognition of 4 years of service as MVD Commissioner. So got your little plaque right here, John. Come up and accept it. Show. Wow.
That's a nice one, thank you.
The video of everybody has here. It says presented to John Lyons, 2024, an appreciation of 4 years of service as a commissioner for Merrimack Village District.
Cool,
So there you go.
thank you, sir.
Great. Absolutely, John. Good to see you. We've missed you. Hope everything's going well.
The new guy hasn't settled in yet, so.
Hasn't what?
Settled in yet?
No, in 4 years, I was 4 weeks, I think.
It's good. No, I really enjoyed my time here with you guys and certainly with the staff, including Uncle Brian here.
Yeah.
So it was really a pleasure to work with all of you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Good. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank
I
you,
wanted
John.
to get you on camera so it's memorialized. When you're famous someday, you can, look back on this little.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yes,
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, too. Thank you.
All right, Brian.
Thanks, Brian, nice work. Very well done.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right. Lisa Brandon.
In case you guys don't know this, Brian's sister actually works for him, that's why he was calling him Uncle Brian.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Oh, I think I was told that. No, I just forgot.
Oh,
You
John?
mentioned it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I think, I was wondering.
And you picked the perfect time to leave the board. We needed him more on the
Testing.
testing side than.
All right, so moving on, we are item number 3, discuss possible change order for Mitchell Woods project. I guess, so we don't have anybody from Underwood or Emery Garrett or anything tonight, right?
No.
So I guess my first impression on this is, it looks like there was some PFAS detected in the monitoring well, and that's why we're talking about doing.
Yeah, so if you look at the map, one down on the lower MW7, fairly new monitoring well. That one is closest to property lines. And we're gonna be, what we'd like to do is some more sampling, but also we do some research into what's over there, because that is all, there's no sewer out there. It's all septic leach fields, so we're looking into that.
That little loop road is Mitchell Street
Yes.
on the map there. The curve on the left, bottom left. Okay,
So Marine Guard is looking for an additional 7,250. Description, whether they want to do pump tests and all that, but figure out where it's coming from.
yeah. I know. I know where you're coming from. Will.
I hate throwing more good money after bad money. For me, that well is not gonna cut it.
I mean, this is not imperative that we do this immediately, is it? Is there any,
It is not, it's more to get it in front of you.
yeah,
So that we we knew that they weren't gonna be able to make it tonight, but at least it's something for you to think about, maybe the next meeting, and we're gonna Garrett can be here.
Right.
Well, I think the intention of this was to finally maybe be able to make a decision whether or not we continue with Mitchell Woods or scrap it, right? Because the assumption is that it's still as squeaky clean as we thought it was all these years, right? And I think the question was, is it? We don't know because we haven't tested it in years. So in a nutshell, or in a sense, these, this money is maybe good money because it may make us walk away from it, right? And I know it's great water, or it was great water at a time not too long ago, right? So I appreciate that.
Oh, my keys?
Yeah, you got it on there? Yeah, this
Are we-
is
so we-
one, two, it's-
It's not in actual Mitchell Woods production well, but it's in one of the monitoring
Right,
wells, which is an
right.
indication that it could get there, so.
Right. So in that sense, I would probably be supporting spending this.
I just,
How long until you would actually make a decision or do something with this?
So we're waiting on evaluating, well, 6. Something we were,
We need to evacuate, is it
is it the CO2 thing?
carbon monoxide?
CO?
It's, server. Place battery.
Silence button?
Oh, just off, so I think it was getting hot.
Really?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I think, so we were there, we did a source alternatives evaluation. We kind of weaned it down to 3. One of them is artificial recharge at wells 4 and 5. This is to create additional source capacity in our system. The other one was Mitchell Woods, and then the last one was bringing well 6 back into service. And that effort's been tabled, as we discussed last week. So until I think that gets resolved, I think we were in a position not to move forward on either of those 3.
right.
We're still missing
And Mitchell Woods
well
was,
6.
even if it was pristine water, it was a very low flow
Yeah, it was.
comparatively for the amount of money we would spend to put 2-phase electrical all the way out to the well.
Right.
And so that was the original bummer of Mitchell Woods, I would say. I mean,
Well, even before that, sorry to chime in, but basically even before that, the dollar per gallon was fairly high on that
Yeah.
because it's, the cost to implement a pump house and a well is not proportional to the volume that you're producing,
Correct.
to the yield you're producing, right? You
Right.
have a certain amount of minimum cost no matter what.
and it was only,
And,
So when you
and on
divide
top of
by
that,
when you divide by the gallons per day that it delivers,
it was not.
that's such a small number that it makes the cost per gallon per day. go
And it
up.
wouldn't have been like we could have used Mitchell Woods and not have to have the Pennachuck interconnect. It was nowhere near
Yeah.
that amount of gallons per day.
and on top of that, what you just said is that we don't have electricity out there that is adequate to even install a pump with that
It was like,
power or production.
it was like a
volume.
lot of electricity
So-
that we would have to install, not
So I think
just,
Peter followed up on that, because I asked the question, because a lot of the projects I work on, we only have single phase power, and you can convert single phase into 3-phase with an inverter. So at first, he was pricing out running 3-phase power from like a mile away or something, which was very costly. But he did come back and say that they can use single phase power, invert it to 3-phase. It's expensive to invert it, but it was less than running whatever I forget what the distance, a mile or more of
yeah, it was like
Quite a ways, yeah.
actual.
a mile or half a
phase
mile or
power.
something.
But the other point I wanted to make about Mitchell Woods is DES has, I don't know if they sent us a letter or I think it was Jeff Martz. And he mentioned to us that based on the GPS location of the Mitchell Woods well, it's inside the consent decree boundary of St. Gobain. So if we did need we wanted to pursue this and it needed PFAS treatment, theoretically, they would be on the hook for some or all of that cost.
Right, it was the aquifer that was in the consent decree, not the well. I thought it was something like that.
I thought it was the well, because he talked about a GPS location of
Okay,
the actual well. So just putting that out there, the cost of the treatment plant and all that stuff is probably likely gonna be included, partially or mostly by us on that. So it's still a cost to incur right there. And who knows if we're gonna repeat that, there's a lot of questions on that, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. So I guess the question is, if we're kind of leaving this in limbo until we evaluate the other two options of all three, do we want to pull the trigger on this now? Or, because potentially if we find, for example, one of the other alternatives is more feasible, then we can save the money and not have to do this at all.
I feel like we'd only really do this to put a nail in the coffin, not because I'm hoping we're gonna
Yeah.
get a lot of,
But like
I
I'm
think if
saying,
we find it, the cost to put a filter on that one is really is going to make it not.
but the existence and treatment of the PFAS might not be our direct responsibility.
5 years?
No, I wouldn't bring
Because,
that
like-
back to life, but
Like, I don't know.
I think this is a different situation as far as potential DES enforcement on this. Because there is no settlement agreement between us and St. Cobain on this well. So,
I know EGGI's concern is that it has been found there before.
yeah,
We need to do something about finding where it's coming from, because otherwise it may not be a viable source down the road at all,
yeah,
because of the PFAS. The other thing is, it's also conservation land, so we're gonna be getting the town involved as well. Maybe,
yeah,
cost sharing or something,
oh, yeah,
just asking the question. We haven't even asked the question yet.
right,
But it makes sense that where it's conservation land, that they would want to take a look at it as well.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what, I don't think I'm in a position to vote on that proposal now. I think there's other things we might want to look into, like you just mentioned there. The other one is running this by Carrie and our other legal team to see what, if anything, that matters to ongoing case that we have. So maybe get that input, I would think. And maybe if there could be just an informational email from legal counsel to us as far as what they would recommend about any of that.
Yeah, we haven't even approached anybody yet. We just got the results
Yeah,
last week.
so I didn't even know that they were out there doing any sampling for PFAS out there. Yeah. Okay. Do you know when the next planned sampling is without this? Is that something they do annually or every 5 years, or we have to renew the permit like every 5 years, right? I think these are probably questions that Jamie can answer, I'm sure. I think we just renewed it not too long ago, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, for some reason I'm thinking 10, but it might be 5.
Is it? Yeah, I think it's less than 10. Yeah, I mean, so those are the questions, I think.
Maybe that's all we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, so ask Jamie, what is the, like, if you don't re-permit a well after a certain number of years, it goes off the books. So we want to know
Like what I'm thinking.
not to do that if we're not officially saying we don't want to pursue it anymore, then I wouldn't want it to expire on us. So,
Start over with all the wetlands permitting.
yeah, it's everything, right? I think it's 5 years. It is in Mass, but I'm not sure if New Hampshire, wouldn't think New Hampshire's more stringent, so. Yeah, if you could find that out. I don't know if you guys have any other questions on this. Do you feel like that seems like a good idea, just to get a few more answers and maybe,
Yep.
if we got legal and Jamie involved and everyone's pointing to, let's go ahead and pursue this, then we can,
Mhm.
or vice versa, then we won't.
Do we need an action item for the individual follow-ups? Like, for example, reaching out to Underwood about creating two-phase power out of one phase and so on, inverting it?
Yeah, I think they probably already told us that, so that should exist somewhere in their files.
It does. I can look that up as well.
Yeah. Is there any action item on Mitchell Woods at all on there?
Grant funding.
Yeah,
68.
68. Do we want to,
That would be a different one, I think.
yeah. Maybe just a generic thing to say follow up on Mitchell Woods PFAS situation or something like that. Because there's a bunch,
Questions will be in the minutes.
yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of individual things we want to know about it, but instead of listing all of those individually, maybe just generically call it like, well, whatever I just said, just follow up on Mitchell Woods PFAS status, something generic like that. If you guys are okay with something called that way.
Mhm.
So Don, I don't know if you were listening to that, but if you can make a next action item. We're gonna review action items later, but we'll have you add one of those as the next action item.
I got it.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, just to look at this, it was just that monitoring well that had detections of PFOA and PFOS. They're pretty high.
Yeah.
84, one reading in July, and then it was 47 for PFOS. Whereas the PFOA was a little lower, it was like 8 and 6. Okay, oh, yeah, the other question I have for Jamie was,
Which project it was?
in the lab report, the method I think they're using is just the one sample. There's no sample blank. Because the lab report just
One of its,
gives you data on the sample. It doesn't indicate that there was a sample blank. But I guess the fact that it was detected in both dates is kind of confirms that it's real. I just want to make sure, it's always nice to have a sample blank to make sure the sample collection
We already have.
process was not tainted somehow. I don't know how he's collecting these samples, if it's a baler or like low flow. Yeah,
Then it's required for that method.
yeah. Yeah, and it's usually just for drinking water.
Don't send us with trip blanks, but those just stay in the refrigerator and travel back with the samples. They're not opened and poured into the other bottle to check air quality or anything.
No, huh? Because I know like when I do sampling of monitoring wells, I'll do a sample blank and I'll run the sample blank through the baler, discharge it into the collecting bottle. That way, then I'll use that to sample the well and put that into a separate bottle. And if the blank is clean and the actual groundwater is contaminated, then you know it's not the sampling process that,
Right.
so it just.
You do that
eliminates
in like
question.
wastewater PFAS testing too, because
Do you?
that is much
Okay.
harder because there's much more ability to contaminate the sample
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's gonna go out there and test again or something, maybe use a sample blank just to make sure, but I don't think that's it because all the other monitoring wells were clean and this one got hits on it twice, July and August, so it would be kind of not expected that would be from manual contamination, you know? But it would be good just to rule out if he's going out to do it again, which I don't think he probably is unless we approve this, but all right. Maybe, I don't know if he's gonna be available at maybe one of the next meetings to discuss this a little further, possibly. Get his thoughts. All right, any other questions on this? Okay, move on. We'll look at the minutes now for the August 19 regular Board of Commissioners meeting.
A motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Anybody have any edits or anything on them? I thought I did, but I can't see it. Maybe I don't.
So you edit them.
I did edit them, yeah, and I double checked. It looked like I did everything. Yeah, I don't have anything. You got something?
No, I was just reading through and remembering the conversation that Wolf had mentioned about the Mitchell location, and
Yeah,
it's all right in there. So
yeah. All right, so was motion made to accept by Aaron
No.
or Wolf and second by Aaron? So no corrections to offer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. Ken, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, so that's 5 in favor, no oppositions, no abstentions. Now we are up to the action items. So we'll kind of just look through and go through the ones for September with the report date of September. So the first one that comes up is number 43, the ongoing salt mitigation committee meetings. Still targeting that for next month, or talk to Jamie at all on that?
October 9. We're meeting with DES, because the core group is meeting. And just gonna review some of the stuff that we've been putting together, and then we'll be setting a meeting.
Okay,
for that.
so want to send out a doodle poll at some point on that?
Will be, once we meet with DES, to see what their schedule's like.
Okay,
Where do we stand with the school district? Signing
Yeah, I have
that
that.
letter.
That's part
You have
of
that.
what we're discussing.
Yeah.
is, So the school district wrote a letter.
to the DOT.
Yeah, did that?
We saw that. I think we saw
I
the
think we did
DOT
see
letter.
that.
I guess I'm wondering what happened to the other letter that all the
Well,
other
we saw it as
departments
part-
signed.
We have that still.
Town council meeting, I think, or school board meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Aaron sent us a copy or
Mhm.
something, right?
Yeah, I think they revised it after.
There's an original letter. with
When I
100
send.
Signatures, and then there's a school board letter. Yeah, because
Right.
it was a revision during that meeting. And so then we went and picked that up, and they did letter to DOT, letter to us, and that's what this meeting coming up is gonna also be talking about too with DES to what we do here.
Right.
Oh, so they did a letter directly to us and separate one to DOT?
All they did was change the names. It's the same
Oh,
core.
all right. I thought it was different. What? So maybe we didn't see the final one then. I don't think it was in a packet before.
Hmm.
I think I only saw the one that you
I
emailed.
saw the final one signed somewhere, but maybe I saw it in a school board packet and not.
Oh, I'll have to.
We'll get it out tomorrow.
Yeah, can you forward? We're just interested in seeing what it says.
Too many meetings.
Well, I think in a nutshell, it says that it's.
Liability
That's a
concern.
liability concern, right? So they
Right.
don't sign off on it, right?
Yeah,
In a nutshell, that's what it says.
recognizing that a lot of the roads as they exist are already limited salt under the town's policy. And even on Continental, as you're driving towards exit 11, before you get to Industrial Drive, it says no salt use area. So it's already posted as no salt Continental Boulevard from Industrial Drive going towards Pennachuck Square and vice versa, both ways there. So it's already posted that way. And it's actually going to reduce salt, so it's getting less restrictive. And they're against it, which is, tried to explain that, but
Yeah, they were in the last school board packet. I have them right here if you. Yeah, basically they said they understand the officials of town would like to request that DOT change the route with Merrimack, New Hampshire to a low salt or limited salt zone. The board also understands that said route starts from exit 10 on ramp southbound off DW Highway onto Industrial Drive, continues south on Continental Boulevard, and ends at the intersection of Continental Boulevard and Milford Road. The Merrimack School District recognizes the significant concern and impact the salt use has on groundwater in our wells, and we support looking for innovative ways to limit and reduce salt use in the areas. However, we decline to sign and otherwise support the town officials' request that NHDOT issue a low salt or limited salt zone for the route. Instead, the board supports the NHDOT's current best practices for winter road maintenance regarding the route. The board does not so because it is concerned that limiting winter road maintenance on the route could potentially impact school buses. In the event that the route were to become a low salt or limited salt zone, the board requests that the NHDOT affirm that doing such would be consistent with the NHDOT's best management practices. Sincerely, school board.
Thank you.
Okay,
I know I saw it somewhere.
good cut, good find. I pulled it right up. That's good. Yeah, I'm kind of like wondering about, well, it's already a no salt area. Why don't we just uphold what's already on the record and actually have them enforce what's on the record, what's been on the record since, when did that sign go up? When Continental was built? I sent an email to Paul McCallie and never heard back from him. I asked him that question. Never got back to me. I'm just curious how many plow trucks for how many years have been driving, salt trucks have been driving right by that sign, blowing all kinds of salt all over the place.
They talked about it. Remember they did a sort of a trial low salt area, and that's when they put the signs up and they tried doing.
Oh, yeah?
That's
So was it back in like 2012 or 14 or something? Isn't that when the last,
I think so. Might even been before that,
Yeah.
or was, I think it might have been around that time, but.
it just kind of boggles the mind that you get the greatest salt application DOT doesn't on Continental, and it's driving right past the signs that says no salt, and it's signs that they must put up, right?
Oh, they're all DOT signs,
Yeah, the town's not involved with that, we're not. So, whatever, just ironic.
And I guess my thought is, what DOT is gonna reduce their salt use to is probably gonna be right around what the town typically applies
On their portion.
on their portion. It's not like it's gonna be a reduction to what the DOT normally does, but it's not, they're not gonna see a difference to other roads in town.
Yeah,
I don't think, but.
yeah.
Maybe the standing piles, except maybe the standing piles of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple the salt piles up the road, but.
Right, hopefully. Well, it'd be nice if they went to brine.
Yeah.
Or subcontracted it like they started last year. Be good to talk about that, see if that's where they're going this year as well. You know, this is why it's good to get this discussion going in October, because I mean, you could be out there Thanksgiving, November, December, and see what's in store. All right, any other questions on that one? Seeing none, so number 43, let's just bump that out another month then to October, if you can do that for us, Dawn. Next item is number 59. Tracking and correlating water quality complaints with discoloration, sediment, chlorine. There was something in our packet. It's pretty involved. I don't know if
That
you,
was that work session report that we had talked about the
Yeah.
last meeting, so was able to find it. Put it
so
in.
was that already, did you already have that, or did Underwood prepare something for that? What's in
No,
our
that was,
packet? That's something we already had?
Work from the work session, that was, It wasn't a report, but it was just the notes
A
from.
half ago-ish.
Yeah. Do you guys want to look at that in any more detail? You know, it's got some water age maps and all these other things. I honestly, I looked through all of it, but I wasn't in a lot of time spent to digest everything that they were talking about.
Water quality, looking for, Aaron had mentioned something about,
Yeah, water age or something.
Report, so it's a refresher.
So I did see. They've got like maps of, and you're gonna get different results depending on which wells are on and off. If some wells are off, the age is gonna get longer because where that water used to serve that part of the distribution system around those wells, now that water is gonna come from further away, which takes longer to get there. So they got scenarios in here with like wells 4 and 5 off and wells 2 and 9 off, wells 7 and 8 off. That type of stuff in hours. It probably would be helpful if someone from Underwood could.
I was just
present
gonna
this
say
to
the
us.
same thing. Yeah, I did see that, but I didn't really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you gotta really kind of digest it for a lot of time to really understand what's being represented here. But let's see.
Like, for example, water age after 360 hours, what does that mean?
So that means it takes, what's that? 8, how many days? 60 goes into 24, that's 3 days. Less than 3 days.
But there's two numbers here in relation to each other, water age after 360 hours, and then a color code of 60,000 up to 360,000.
Right.
What are we talking about here? Is that the number of people or?
No, that's the number of hours it takes, like all these yellow dots, it takes less than 240 hours to get to the yellow. And it takes less than 60 hours to get to the purple for water. These are all like.
Right, I just don't understand why it says water age after 360 hours.
I don't know. After
Because it's maybe
360,
the top
that's
of
the
the.
last. 360.
So. Your question?
How long it takes for water to get to the customers, basically.
Well, first, I don't understand the legend here. The legend says water age after 360 hours.
Should say up to.
It's in hours, it says at the top. It should be in the legend, but the purpose of the graphic says water age in hours, right?
Well, maybe it should say water age in hours.
That's it, yeah.
Should.
Not after 360 hours, but it doesn't make sense to me the way it's written. I don't want to assume, I want to know, right?
So it's saying 204, like the yellow, I don't know which one you're looking at, but. Are you
Yeah, the
looking at
legends are all the same.
Figure 5 or 4? Which one are you looking at?
It's on 4.
He's on 4. So it just looks like, so after 360 hours, like the yellow water is 240 hours old.
Yeah, so on the map, you look at the colors on the map and all of those colors, locations correspond with the legend.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it would probably be helpful to have to go over this again
It would be.
with some.
I don't recall seeing this before, so.
Yeah, I knew there was something they did and I didn't know it was this detailed.
I just did a search, Maureen work session or something to that effect, and what came up.
We. Remember there's a work session. I don't remember seeing these.
I remember in the work, I don't think we saw them as like big. I think we saw them like on the screen, like there were sections of it we were going over.
Hmm.
So I don't remember the graphs as like a big paper, but I remember like looking at them. But I'm not sure if it was the graphs or we were looking at the actual model that they had. Because that was right around the time they were working on finishing the system model.
I don't recall this map, for example, at all, and this question comes up frequently from customers, where is
Yeah,
my
where's
water
the
coming
water
from?
Yeah,
That is actually, and obviously I'm assuming there's some shifting happening here, right? Depending-
yeah, those
Yeah,
lines
depends what you have on.
Right.
depending on how much the wells are on or off, pumping, and some are off. Yeah, exactly. That must be like average, I guess.
Mhm.
But even the last thing on the legend is 6 days, 360 hours. 6 days, right? 24. 360. 24. I'm sorry, it's 15 days. 360.
It's old water.
Pretty old.
During the summertime, hydrogen tank drops like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, again, this is like,
But how many miles of water, of water lines do we have in town? Right, I mean, we could calculate the volume of that and compare it with the tank volume, and we might be surprised.
yeah, you're probably right. It just seems.
I still swear there was a conversation we had some time ago that we don't know that.
And I don't feel like the 360, I feel like it was way less than that.
I feel it was way more. I'm gonna dig out those meeting minutes where it says that,
Hey, we have the history drive. You can go back there and play all you want.
maybe. Unless it's PDF and graphics, then.
yeah, so I mean, there's so many scenarios here that it's hard to really make.
Well, I think that's why having the model was so important because depending on what wells we're on, there are so many scenarios. Depending on what tanks are being used, there are so many scenarios. I think that was the most important thing with like the modeling of the system.
Isn't Underwood planning on doing a hydraulic model update?
That has already been done. Yeah, I'll follow up.
Thought I saw it on somewhere in here. But if they did that, because that's what you use to predict all of this. Your hydraulic model.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was in the CIP for a while.
Oh, yeah. I swear I thought I saw it. So
Yeah.
you think it's been done now?
That has been,
I thought they were just finishing it and fine tuning it when I came home.
Maybe that's something we could have tied into that when they do that. But there's a lot of information here, and then there's that map with the handwritten stuff about the highest and lowest chlorine level recorded in different parts of town.
I thought that was before though, that we tuned like the chlorine finer after that. When all the wells were in, then we changed
Yeah.
some of the levels after that.
He's got, what is this figure?
I feel like that was after this.
So there's a figure 3, which is like multiple figure 3s, though, I think. Maybe not. Figure 3. Yeah, it's got the crosses on it with the
Yeah.
numbers in the quadrants there. So the numbers in the left column were prior to 2021. And the numbers on the right column were 2022 and 2023. Those are chlorine residuals. Oh, no, number of time sample exceeded 1.2 in the top row or fell below 0.2 in the bottom row. It's kind of a lot to digest here. I don't think we want to do this at this kind of meeting, but. Well, I guess it's in the packet. We want to look at it closer.
You wanna try to get a meeting later, or?
Well, what do you guys feel? You want to, I think I'd like to have Underwood kind of brush up on this and then do a presentation to us, maybe?
We haven't had them here in a while on some of the bigger subjects, right? So it might be a good idea to get an update.
We want to do this at a regular meeting and maybe give half hour to it, or, I mean, I don't want to, seems like more burdensome to schedule a work session, I think. I feel the same way.
Yeah, agree.
If these meetings seem to be running short.
Yep.
Although we're doing a good job of extending it tonight.
I'd still rather spend another half hour than come in at a.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, the days when
Always
we,
the action items is where it goes.
we don't see
It's like a black hole.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock anymore, so maybe we can have it during a regular meeting if it's a otherwise light agenda.
Right. I would just be careful with budget stuff coming up that we don't wanna,
Yeah.
mix the two if we have to wait a little bit.
All right, so how do we want to follow up on this? Just, you want to just reach out to Underwood and say, can you, like, if you give them all of these figures, say, can you present this again to the board at a Board of Commissioners meeting?
Meeting.
20 minutes, half hour type of thing. That way they're brushed up on what's going on, because, give them a little time to, and I don't know if it's a general engineering budget, we can put this under. I don't see this being a big, it's a few hours. It's not like they're recreating information, they're just presenting this, right? And actually, we can ask them where the hydraulic model, you can ask them where that stands, if that's been updated, completed, or is it still in need of something finished on it or not? So that, we'll keep that under the same action item as we have. Guys good with that? All right, and that was what, 59? Yes. So let's just change that to October so we can revisit it. And if they can't do it October, or if the agenda is really heavy, then we can kick it off. But let's put it down for October so it doesn't, we don't forget about it. Any other questions on that, or we move on to the next one?
All set.
67. All right, thanks, Ken. 67, I think we're still waiting to see the fallout of the meeting with DOT or whatever. Okay. So let's change 67 to October. Number 68, available funds for Mitchell Woods artificial recharge. I don't think we've gotten any further on that one either.
Kind of been on hold.
Want to
So-
move that to November maybe, so we don't go over the meeting?
Yeah, so why don't we push that a couple months out, so say November. And we're gonna have that other Mitchell Woods action item on the PFAS stuff, so
Mhm.
that's a separate thing. Number, what are we on? 79, water line extensions,
So that was, yes, for the
Gerard, Palmieri, Wilson Hill, and Mulligan Mason Farmer Roads.
So the Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund grant filings were submitted on 8/26 for both Gerard Mulkin, Farmer and Mason. 325,000 for Gerard Mulkin. Farmer and Mason was 525,000. The next advisory commission meeting is October 14th. And that could be the earliest we vote on it.
Isn't that the letter that we have in the package that got declined?
That was a different.
That's a different
grant,
one.
I think we
Yeah.
Okay.
submitted, right?
So I did notice in that list,
Ranking list.
the ranking list of those projects for the
Oh, yeah.
trust fund, it says a couple of things that I'm a little surprised. It says for the, I'm assuming we're talking about line. I will just bring my glass next time. 37 and 38, that's us, right? PFAS water main extension, Farmer Mason Foster. And there are, yeah, so it says on each of those, financially disadvantaged, no, and then environmentally disadvantaged, no.
Huh.
I mean, certainly the environmentally disadvantaged, I find
Yeah,
sketchy assessment. Oddly enough, though, when you look further down, the poor folks at line 60 in Harrisville, PFAS treatment, they're also not environmentally disadvantaged. So it makes me question a little bit about the composition of those criteria. Might be a good idea to follow up with the committee why that is.
so is it blank though, where it says environmentally
Yeah,
disadvantaged?
because there's yes and no columns or cells. But in our case, it's blank. And
Yeah,
I mean,
There are very few environmentally disadvantaged, so I'm guessing whatever their reasoning for that was. And the ones that say they are environmentally disadvantaged, they don't say anything about PFAS.
right,
I don't remember what I'm sure there was more that you had to read on it to select either yes or no. I don't recall what it.
wondering what that means. Environmentally disadvantaged in what respect, you know?
another one, I don't know, just to throw that out there, look at the water line, I'm sorry, water rate column. I'm assuming that's the
Yeah, I don't know what units are on that.
well, no, remember that DS issues like
Yeah, they have a master rate,
like, yeah, like
database
an
type of
example
thing.
for a household, right? And when you look at that, we're at $500 some, and there's a couple districts out there that are like 11, 13, 14, $1,500 a month in comparison, right? So just as a little reminder how good we're doing.
Annual.
Yeah, I don't know what that, I don't know what the
Well-
units are on that.
It might be annual, okay, granted, but
Yeah.
I know it's based on that comparison. Scenario of a customer, of a client, right? Pretty sure that's what it's based on.
Wasn't it?
There's
in
no,
that regard,
there's no
we're doing pretty
footnotes
good.
or anything either. I
No,
was
no.
looking for footnotes
Yeah,
and there's nothing
Yeah,
really.
there's no units or no
doesn't tell
description
you
as to what
anything.
any of this stuff is.
In fairness, the application itself, when you go into filling it out and tell you,
Yeah,
give much more detail.
It
yeah.
actually says right here, the water rate was not included in pre-app or is unknown. The New Hampshire average water rate of $872 is used, and we're at 500.
So when applying for these other gap loans or grants, I talked to UBS. Next thing is. And put them and people get in the yard and don't have counsel.
Huh. So that's something he's doing as part of, he's still on the drinking water groundwater trust.
And to review what went to the committee, sorry, not governor council, before it goes to the committee.
Yeah, I mean, assisting him with whatever he's doing is definitely something that would work to our advantage to, if you keep tabs on what he's asking or what he's doing, if he needs any help. Have you ever reached out to him recently at all? or-
Not after the last discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
We're planning to, didn't realize that it was that's what he's going, those, or representative board is gonna review it first before I went to committee, so how do we know? We can do calls and presentations.
All right. Any other questions on that item? Where were we on?
79.
Yeah, 79. So Underwood is still planning on proceeding with the add alt form of bid on that, right? In the meantime? Okay, we talked about that at the last meeting. All right, so 79, we'll keep that monthly. It's always good to have an update. Let's see, the financial, the 85, we should probably update that.
Mhm.
It says June.
Hmm.
Do you think,
Make it monthly, so that way if she has any updates.
yeah, okay, why don't we do that? That's a good idea. You
She's
guys-
not gonna have any updates anytime soon with her being out right now, so.
Yeah.
And if we go over this month by month, we're wasting time, so I would rather say, let's say December.
You want to push it out that far?
Well,
I
I'm
think
sure she's gonna
I
come
mean,
back
If
and share
she
something.
had something,
Right.
she would bring it to
Exactly.
us,
Right.
so.
All right,
Let's say December.
all right, if you guys are good with December and number 85,
I
that's.
think if
fine by
she
me.
had she would
Yeah.
come with bells on,
Yep.
so.
All right, so Dawn, if you can change number 85, the last column to December. Then what do we got here? The next thing in September is number 94.
88.
You missed the pilot
88.
testing.
Oh, there's a monthly there, right? Yeah,
I haven't heard anything else on that.
88 pilot testing. Okay, yeah, I mean, try to find out from Underwood is what is the last thing we're waiting for on that? I think Lynette said in April it was gonna be like a matter of weeks or something. So I don't know what's going on there, but all right, so we'll leave 88 monthly, 94 next September one, cost of water wasted. Yeah, we leave that?
So I got your edits. I just haven't had a chance to
Okay,
go through it, and I will get that up this week.
Carrie's already went through everything and everything, right? Okay. All right, so let's make number 94 October. Go with that, Ron?
Yeah.
All right, number 95, monthly update on this is the St. Gobain water main extensions in town of Merrimack for MVD.
We just had a pre-con today for that. Joseph P. Cardillo is the contractor for the project. It's going to consist of about 1,600 feet of water main on John Edward Wildcat area and Brenda Lane. There's 19 connections on Wildcat area, four connections on Brenda Lane. They're looking to start October 1st. They're gonna do the big area first, the Wildcat Falls area. Gonna do all the main line and to the entrances to the property line first, then go back and do from, because they gotta get on the road.
Oh, yeah, before the
By-
winter. Yeah.
They're planning on by November 1st, having everything, all the main line done. Town's put a moratorium on the project, so they can't be on the road any later than December 1st.
Are they required to pave the whole road or just patch? Do you
We're
know?
gonna trench patch right now, and then they're gonna go back and pave the road. I believe it's gonna be the whole road in the spring, so they're gonna go back and actually take care of the patches on Christopher. They did some of the some of the services in on the existing water main. So they're gonna bring it back, I think, to it's number 10, Christopher, or whatever, and they're gonna overlay that piece. And they're gonna overlay everything else that they're doing the trench patching on now. Or the water main project, they haven't done it yet, but. Final payment in the spring, and probably this week or in the near future, they're gonna have somebody out in the neighborhood filming or doing video in the neighborhood for record.
Reconstruction, yeah.
The existing connections piece where it was, they've got 3 left to do, and that's 1 on Pearson and 2 on Turkey Hill. They're just waiting for, basically it was a change order in play, and they're waiting for St. Gobain. Well, they're actually waiting for the pricing on that, and they're waiting for St. Gobain to approve it, and they'll finish those up.
All right, that's good.
Moving ahead.
Hopefully October 1st works because it's coming, we're closing out the
Yeah,
construction season here. All right, any other questions on number 95? That's a monthly thing. The last number 97, I don't think we had a date on that one, but that was reach out to Pennachuck to inquire about plans to ensure compliance of PFAS when federal MCLs are in effect.
And I did, and pretty much what we were talking about there, more frequent change outs. is what they're planning on.
Yeah, so I think from what I understand is they have a combination of, used to be all sand in their rapid sand filtration beds. And they put a layer of GAC or something in there. So I was told they're just gonna like change that out more frequently. Is that what the plan is?
Yep.
So I did notice in the last testing, water quality testing of the interconnect, the PFOA was like 4.04. So when the EPA MCL goes in at 4, they're gonna have to go under 4, so they will need to address that. And that's not for, was it 2029 or something, I think? It's out there. It's quite a ways out there, but anyways. All right. So do we have anything more on that, number 97, or do we answer that question? Can we delete this? Is there any reason we wanna keep this on there? I mean, it's, unless something changes, I don't think anything, we got the answer.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
Who did you talk to? Was it Dawn?
I.
Where?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
hopefully we're done with the interconnect for the summer. And
Yeah.
we won't test them again until the spring, hopefully.
So if you guys are good, I guess number 97, we can close that out. So Dawn, I guess I think that row is just hidden, not deleted. Is that how it goes in the spreadsheet? Yeah, okay. And then we're adding that action item about
Mitchell Woods
Mitchell Woods PFAS
status.
status. Kind of leave it generic like that for whatever the next number is, if it's not 98.
From
I think.
Underwood.
We're,
From Underwood, right? We're asking for the status from Underwood.
It
Yeah.
would be Emerald, because they were the ones that,
It was kind of both, really.
Well-
The power side of things was coming from Underwood,
oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
right?
Okay,
So really from,
all right, well, we should probably call it PFAS status and
Cost,
power supply, I mean, because I don't think they're gonna finish the cost, we told them to hold off on that. But I think we wanna definitely find out what we remember about the power supply.
Mhm.
Peter might have just mentioned to us, I don't think we got anything officially in writing.
that was right around the time we said stop.
Put the kibosh on, yeah, put the hold on it. All right, so we'll have that possibly for October if it fits or whatever.
so let's see if I get an email of Don, I can give Peter a call and just.
Okay.
Sure, answer it again.
Okay. Any other questions on the action items? Seeing none, then we'll go on to where are we at? Old business. Anybody have any old business to bring up?
So I do have one thing. As far as the police range goes, I want to switch, I do have some drone footage of the police range. So the 2 Connex boxes that they were gonna get from St. Cobain, they're not getting them from St. Cobain anymore.
Right.
They actually did purchase 2 boxes. They're gonna, the 2 prepped areas are gonna fit them in left and right of the range. I don't- Do you want to see the drone footage or?
It's a picture.
or it's a-
It's picture.
it's a picture? Oh, either
Yeah,
way.
footage would be moving.
You were
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, fixed for- did you have that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
It's on the- it's
Oh, I
on-
saw it.
See the clock.
so 10:07.
Setting a record or the other way?
So I don't know,
Everybody.
everybody see that?
Hmm?
You have to share, if you can, right?
Tin canned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
It's a trap.
That's my expertise right there.
Gotta go to the Zoom and then hit share on the Zoom.
I haven't done it.
Maximize that Ken Ayers.
Yeah, with the
The
little
arrow,
arrow.
the little arrow on the right, the other one. Yep. Green button, share. Pick.
That window.
Yep.
There you go.
So you can see there's like a
Yep.
area to the left.
Yeah, the little mouse, there you go.
Here is where they're gonna put the one of the boxes, that'll be the
Is that the road coming in up on the left there, coming down? Is that,
the roadways down here, this goes down to the old well one.
oh, all right.
House will be off to the left. on the
Yes.
picture.
All right, so the big maintenance building is off the page on the left there, right?
Yep, over on this side here.
Okay,
Um,
I got my bearings.
This is the old trailer, that storage trailer that was pulled out, but just, it's out of the way right now. This was prepped for one of the Connex boxes for the night. of the,
Simulation.
The low light shooting would take place. And then the other Connex box would go right here, back in this area for the storage. Take place of this trailer here.
Okay.
So there's an option, they can get a trailer, an old trailer that's down at the highway garage. And they want to put it along the wood line, and they want to do basically a glorified, like a paintball for clearing rooms and stuff. I didn't know if there's gonna be any objection to that from the board to add it. It would go, it would sit on this side here, so it's not gonna take up really any real estate as far as this parking area here or anything like that. Just- Actually, I'm sorry, it's gonna go along the wood line. They build the enter the door from between two. That was what, the other was really gonna change from what we had talked about last time.
So I'm guessing like the sandish area at the top is like the,
So this is actually a berm.
or that's okay, all right.
And the berm continues all the way around here. This is all berm.
It goes into the tree line a little bit too.
Yep.
Can we put a stipulation that MVD staff is also admitted for that training? Included in the training?
Sure they would.
So I learned how to clear.
I was gonna say the same thing. As long as Wolf and I can use it too. I mean, yeah, there's no problem putting it there.
So those two Connex boxes are town supplied? That's not for our personal use, MVD's use, right? It's,
They're town supply, they're not from Saint Cobain, they purchased them from a.
right. So no MVD money is going into
No, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, no,
for the viewing public.
yes, no, we're not. The only thing we're supplying is a place that they can actively.
Conduct their activities.
Yes.
Do we have something in place that they are required to clean out the berm every so often and at the very end of their use?
They do pick up their, I mean, they don't.
Not shells, the rounds, right?
We talked about this last month, right?
Okay.
Are they? Yeah, I think the answer was it's never been done.
You usually have to so many. I know down at the gun clubs, they have to actually sift through the berm every so often, because otherwise you get ricochets from rounds hitting rounds that are already in the berm. And eventually you have to go through it and just sift through it just to keep the lead out of the ground.
I'll see if they do anything, because I don't know if it's ever been done, but that's just because I've never seen it, but I don't. know.
Good point.
And especially at the end of their use, right? One day they might bail out of it, right? And then somebody needs to dig all of that stuff up and get rid of it, dispose of it, right? So it would be nice to have at least clarity if they're intending to do that. And
It's not like they're standing, a lot of times for qualifications, they're not standing yards away, they're right up.
Right.
Yeah, so it could get dangerous.
Yeah, for ricochets, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah, you have ricochets up to like 50, 60 feet, no problem. So,
well within that, they're
Yeah.
15 feet off the bat, the berm,
Yeah.
easily. So,
and they may not realize that that's a thing, right? Might be a good idea to talk to one of the gun clubs down in town about that.
I'll talk to Officer Cal.
All right. So that was under old business. Any questions on that? I think we got that squared away okay. All right, probably pull that down, stop sharing that. Let's see, all right, I had on here some old business. Anybody else have any old business listed? Go over. Oh, one thing I didn't look, but I just wanted to mention if, I know the graphs are updated on here periodically. And I'm not sure if that includes updating the website, but if the website, check if the website should be updated with some of the mineral graphs, sodium chloride stuff, PFAS, whatever. All right, good. And I did, we were talking briefly last meeting about the, or I think I emailed, yeah, I emailed Amy. She gave a very detailed reply back about the limitations on the billing software to put in messages to the customers about that cancer survey. And it is very limited, even though there's a lot of white space on the page. Because there are other reports that don't show up on the white page if they're not triggered. So the location on the page has to be reserved. So I forget what the number of character strings that are available, but it's not much. And it's really not enough character strings to put in there, you know, please see important information on cancer survey. Here's the link by DHHS, don't call MVD or whatever. We couldn't even put half of that on there. I don't even know if you could even fit the string itself on there.
You might be able, though, in a lot of those kinds of softwares, you can create text positions under your itemization of the bill, right? Where it says the different lines of things that get charged. Oftentimes you can create text positions. That's just another charge. That's not a charge, it's a text. So maybe that's something she can look into.
Yeah, I didn't know enough to ask her about that, but it sounded like it was limited. And I subsequently realized that the survey is just a survey, as you pointed out.
It's not very
Right.
informative or in-depth. There's
No.
there's a better survey that Lorraine put out. Well, it wasn't really a survey,
Is that the
but
breast cancer one?
the breast cancer one, I did that one, and that was way better, but you have to be a woman between the ages of kind of thing for
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
But Maureen had put that one out. That one I found much more useful than the other one.
So the good news is, because I am on that HB 737 Environmental Impact Committee, in at last Friday's meeting, I asked a little bit more about it, and Leanne Atwell did say that they are reviewing the what is it called now? The cancer registry. So they did a cancer study and they only looked at cancers up to 2018. And now they're expanding that up to I think it's 2021. Because the registry is not full, it's not like updated to today, you know what I mean? So the problem is this cancer study came out in January 2023, and it indicated that Merrimack has a 42% higher occurrence than the rest of the state for like pelvic renal cancers, but it disclaimed it because the sample size was small. So it recommended a follow-up study. So I guess that is underway. So even though the survey doesn't ask you questions about your personal cancer history, if any, which I thought it did, that's still being done. So I feel better about that. So we're gonna have more updated information. I still don't know if the sample size is big enough, but everybody kind of wants to know how real it is, because that disclaimer over it kind of, you know, raises your attention, but then it says, but it may not be real. So we kind of want to know if it's real, right? So that is being worked on. I didn't realize they were doing that. I thought they were just doing the survey, but they're doing the actual follow-up to that. So that's good information. And I think everything else we mentioned already here, so that's good. So that was old business. Anyone have any new business? I know some of that I just mentioned was new business. Anybody have new business? If not, we can move on to superintendent's report.
I just want to mention that I know we talked about last week that I think it was Wolf that asked if we actually drink or
The water fruit at the well.
taste the water at the wells.
Right, and taste test at the well, sorry.
Taste test. We,
For chlorine specifically, right? Not,
So that's the finished water at the treatment
Yes.
plant.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
and I did ask Brian and I'm like, we do, but we're not, nothing that we're tracking.
Documenting, yeah.
No, nobody's,
Yeah.
no, I was just curious if that's
Yeah.
something that's ever being done occasionally, you know?
No, and we do drink the water at the well. I mean, it's probably more like we do it, you do it at your home, you just grab a glass here or there,
Yeah.
but nothing.
I feel like a taste test is important.
These tests are.
Maybe next time we're all down there, we can all bring a little glass, and take a shot off a sample tap and.
I had a professor in college who worked in water quality, and that was one of the things he did anytime he went to a new community, was always drink the tap water. So he said you could tell a lot about
Really?
water quality and stuff by just tasting the tap water.
Sure.
Do you want to remind everybody that our GAC change out for treatment plant 2 and 9, September 24th. This Thursday is operator field day, and we're gonna do the taste test again. Bring some water down, and the last time we did this, we actually 2015 we won, we went
Yeah.
to Washington, came back and hit with PFAS.
Yeah.
It's good.
Back into competition again, so.
Water tastes great, but it's got PFAS, so yeah.
So.
Well, now it's clean, so no PFAS, so through carbon filters, so
Yeah.
see how that goes.
Kind of, excited, I'm hoping we can.
Good. I mean, I know at my house, I drink through a carbon filter in my fridge and it's excellent water. I love the taste. I'll go elsewhere. Cause if there is any residual chlorine, it's taken out in the carbon filter at the fridge.
Yep.
But when I go somewhere else, even some restaurants, not here, but Nashua and, and they serve you water, you can tell if it's tap because
Oh, yeah.
got the chlorine in it, and a lot of these places can just put on a very simple little carbon filter, and all the restaurants that serve the water that would take the chlorine right out. So it's funny that I don't know if they know to do that or not, but anyways. So that'd be good to see if where we rank in the taste.
Yeah,
All right. Anything else? We good?
no, that's all I have.
So questions from press and public. I don't know if anyone else is in the queue anywheres. Or. Just everybody that we know of already. Okay. All right. So in light of that, our next meeting is October 21st, 2024. And if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Scott,
I'll second.
second by Aaron. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Ken, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, that's 5-0-0, no oppositions, no abstentions, so we'll see everybody next month.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, all.